Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Battle for Wesnoth Amateurs Cup. We are in round 3, the quarterfinals. So we're narrowing things down. The remaining players, we have Brongue, Calandiel, myself, GeneralConfusion, AlexanderML, Imir, Sergey, MrProgressor, and Lemon. All of which have won at least one match. Sergey, Lemon, AlexanderML, and Calandiel have only won one match each. Everyone else involved has won 2 so far. So, this match is Sergey versus... it's going by Ralik, but on the Discord he's known as Imir. So we have, looks like Knolgans versus Loyalists. Should be interesting. Let's see how things go. So, the Knolgan recruit... no, wait, okay, well, I'll talk about the Knolgan recruitment in a minute, since I accidentally skipped ahead to the next turn. Oh, no, I'm sorry, they're not Loyalists, they're Rebels, actually. So we've got a Scout, 2 Fighters, 2 Scouts, and a Merman Hunter. And an Archer, recruited for the Rebels. On the Knolgan side, we have a Dwarvish Guardsman. Guardsmen don't see a lot of play in multiplayer, so this is a little bit of an interesting choice. The reason being, I don't know if I've talked about Guardsmen in detail before. Guardsmen are incredibly tough because they have this steadfast ability, so they have decent resistances across the board, 10 or 20% to everything. And then with steadfast, as long as they're defending, all their resistances are doubled. So... effectively, on the defense, Guardsmen have 20 or 40% resistance to every type of damage, on top of very high base HP, plus they have access to the Healthy trait, which lets them gain more hit points per level and heal 2 HP per turn no matter what, and they also have access, of course, to Resilience, so they have extra hit points through that. A Resilient Healthy Dwarvish Guardsman is incredibly tough. In this case, this Dwarvish Guardsman is healthy and quick, so he has 5 movement points instead of the 4 standard, and then healthy effectively negates the quick HP penalty, which is 5%. So, Guardsmen don't do a lot of damage, but they just tank a lot of damage because they have resistances, they have high HP. The one thing they don't have is super high base defenses. They're slightly lower than average, like all dwarves are. They're 30% on flat, 50% on villages, 50% on hills. They do have only 60% defense in mountains, and 60% in castles. So if you need somebody to hold a village, a guardsman is great, but they're not very flexible, they're not very fast, and they're relatively easy to isolate and wear down. So they're not a very common recruit, but Sergey seems to have a plan. He's also got 2 dwarvish fighters, kind of standard melee, and then 2 footpads, which are, of course, the Knolgan scout equivalent, and 1 Ulfsirker. In a lot of matchups, Ulfsirkers are important. In some matchups, they're more or less useless. I don't remember if I've talked about them before. The Berserk special on an attack means it launches 30 rounds of attacks or until somebody dies, whichever comes first. So by round of attacks, it means one sequence in which everybody has used up, both sides have used up all of their strikes. So if you use an Ulfsirker against, for example, a mage, who has a very weak 1-strike melee attack, he's going to get to attack 4 times to their 1 until somebody dies, which is going to be the mage. Classically, Ulfsirkers are important in the Knolgan versus Undead matchup because Ulfsirkers can kill Dark Adepts with no penalty, since Dark Adepts don't have a melee attack. And then, of course, they can level up to Dwarvish Berserkers, which are exactly the same, but more damaging. So, a couple of interesting recruits, but I think overall this is pretty solid. So the Knolgans are moving out to take their villages, as are the Rebels. And the Rebels have now spotted the Knolgans, so they know who they're fighting. We've seen the Rebel versus Knolgan matchup before, if I recall correctly. It's definitely an interesting game. It's really a question of mobility. The Elves have a lot more mobility than the Dwarves do. The Dwarves have toughness, and then they also have the outlaw units, which can be very effective. They also have, and this is an interesting recruit, they also have access to Griffin Riders. Knolgans don't recruit many Griffin Riders because they're quite expensive. They cost 24. They hit hard. They hit like, they hit more or less like Orcish grunts, but at twice the price, of course. The extra cost is their mobility. They have 8 moves and they're flying. Their resistances are low, and like Drakes, their defenses... Well, actually, they have a lot better defenses than drakes. They're more like bats. They have basically 50% defense everywhere. The only things where they have low defense are caves and fungus. And they have slightly higher defense in mountains. So they're a solid, fast-striking unit. That said, they are expensive. So, they don't hurt much compared to how much money goes into them. It's a little bit of maneuvering around here. Imir is sidling around, feeling out the dwarvish formation. But Sergey is pressing forward, and he's recruited... Did he recruit another Ulfsirker? Okay, we've got first combat. No, he recruited the dwarvish fighter, alright. So the dwarves have done a little bit of damage, but not scored any kills. So far, it's a very even game. The Sergey's rogue keeps running around back and forth, which is interesting. However, the dwarves have pushed hard on this southern flank, and they've curved the Elvish line back a lot. So we kind of have mirrored deployments right here. We've got 5 Knolgan units pushing on the south. Meanwhile, up here, we've got 5 rebel units pushing on the north against relatively light resistance. Have another dwarvish fighter that can go up there to reinforce that. If you just sit this guy on this mountain here, he'll be fine. But, interesting. Yeah, I think Sergey's pushing the attack. Or is going to push the attack down there. Elves just trying to fish out some free range damage. Oh, and they do have a Hidden Woes. Crouching Woes, Hidden Dragon. That guardsman keeps going in trying to hit the scout. Okay, gonna get some projectiles in. Yeah, see, this is the problem with guardsmen. They just don't hurt very much, so their retaliation, nobody's really scared of. And a second Woes. So the attack's been more or less held off down here, and the dwarves are shifting their presence slightly further towards the northeast. But they have lost a unit, and the rebels have managed to take a village. So the rebels are definitely pushing it. I think I would have tried to send that guy over to... Well, he couldn't get there. It's the dwarvish fighter or nothing. Still, they've almost got him, and he's trapped. So definitely the Knolgans are suffering right now, but seeming a little bit exposed right here, that white mage. White mages are not tough. And the Griffin has yet to really do anything of great value. I think he might be planning on using that Ulfsirker to take out, or those Ulfsirkers rather, to try and take out Elvish archers. Both Woses are visible. Got some decent experience on an Elvish fighter. And we've got the... Ah, there we go. That's what he's using an Ulfsirker on. Okay, there we go. Easy kill, very little damage. This footpad is a little bit exposed. But he's also gotten a nice little attack in. So, all of a sudden, although so far the Knolgans have lost more, you can see that now we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 units with another nearby, surrounding 4 Elvish units. That said, they can still slip out of the box, most of them, except for this Shaman. Now, if I was in Imir's position right here, and I'm just saying this without knowing what he actually ended up doing, I think I would abandon this Shaman, use the Shaman to slow the Griffin Rider, and get these units over here, where they can kind of try to push back. You could bring over this Elvish fighter to help. This dwarf is in 40% defense terrain, so you could get the archer over here, plus this Elvish fighter. They might be able to take him out. 20... Yeah, no, they wouldn't quite be able to take him out. You'd also need to add the Elvish Scout. But you could pop this guy onto the village. Archer, Elvish Scout, Elvish Fighter over here to hold this guy in place. You might be able to kill the footpad. And the Archer would then be in 70% defense terrain, so even attacking with the Dwarvish Ulfsirker would not be guaranteed death. And with this Shaman here kind of blocking things up, they wouldn't be able to flank and attack the Elvish Archer from multiple angles very effectively. That's probably what I would try to do, just pull straight back at this point. Instead, it looks like he's going for the kill on the Griffin Rider, which, fair, and he's nearly leveled up his fighter, so that was probably a decent move. But I'm a little bit concerned that by doing so, he's going to lose both of these units. But, you know, sometimes you have to make sacrifices. It is worth pointing out, right now, turn 12, the Rebels have lost 1 unit, the Dwarves have lost 3. And the Dwarves have also been quite unlucky. They've inflicted less damage than expected, and they've taken less damage than expected, both by pretty significant margins. Yikes! That Ulfsirker, wow. He's definitely getting some value out of these Ulfsirkers, though. And now he's going for the attack on the leader. This is dangerous. This is super, super dangerous for the rebels. And the rebels have a whole bunch of units here pushing south. I would not be doing that. I would be taking all these units and bringing them either back or circling them around this way to fight this blob of troops. Because this blob of troops right here, in this situation, is going to try to just bull over this way and kill the leader. Yeah, okay, there we go. He's moving them to surround. Another Griffin Rider. More Dwarvish fighters coming out. And Sergey has now established a pretty commanding village lead. Okay, and he's fallen back. Trying to get some more experience on this guy, but they have to be careful about him. Not to leave him exposed. Yeah, that dwarf on the mountain syndrome here. Really kicking in. More Griffins getting recruited. He's gonna try... Okay, well, he didn't quite manage to take that fighter out, so now we've got 2 fighters really close to leveling, which is useful, definitely. He's gonna try to see if he can get a level off this guy. Well, he's spreading his forces a little bit. Did get a kill. This guy he's trying to level without having to give an actual kill, since he's like 1 experience away from leveling right now. Which is valid strategy. Alright, hold up. There you go. So he's got an Elvish hero. I need to turn my Steam notifications off. Hold on for a minute. Okay, sorry about that. Sorry, I forgot to do that before I started this up. Also, anyway. So, Sergey is definitely in a good place right now. It remains to be seen whether he can hold that advantage. He is definitely losing units. But he's got enough of a monetary advantage that he may be able to survive that in good order, as it were. I probably would have tried to give the kill to that guy. But yeah, if we look at the stats again real quick, we can see here the elves have lost 3 units, the dwarves have lost 7. And elves are still being lucky about it. But Sergey, I think, has been playing quite a tight game. He's doing all right. He's just taking a lot of casualties. But right there, that's what Griffin Riders are designed to do, and they're good at it. The ability to isolate units like that and kind of pick them off. Right now, almost all of the elves are up north in this big defensive counter push. They have almost nothing down here, and these two Griffin Riders may actually be able to stage an assassination. Especially if they have the support of all these units. Especially if all of these guys keep fighting as opposed to going to try and help their soon-to-be isolated leader. Okay. Oh, interesting. Berserker attack on a Woes. I guess at nighttime it's not that much of a risk, but he took a bunch of damage, and if he'd gotten slightly less lucky... and now he's sending him in to kill off this this guy before he levels. Yeah, well, with the terrain on his side, that wasn't much of a risk. But now we can see that Sergey is really tearing apart Imir's defense. He's got almost all the villages. He's killed off a whole bunch of elvish units in the last couple of turns. He's deep in enemy territory on this side. He is about to, yep, so he got the Elf Circle dead. And he's got the second one dead as well. So the elves are doing a really good job. Imir is doing a really good job at killing Sergey's units. But he's not winning the game by doing that. And actually, losses have almost evened up. Sergey has come roaring back with a vengeance, and his luck is also evening pretty rapidly. He's been rolling hot these last couple turns. And he's setting up for a backstab, I think. Yep, there we go. And he's almost got another rogue as well. Okay, so this fight up here, it's worth me noting, this fight up here I think should have been abandoned, like a turn or two ago. There's no reason to leave two guys up here fighting this one dwarvish fighter. He's just going to sit here. He has, 50% defense, and he has high HP, and he has village healing. So he's already done as much damage as he has HP, almost. Or certainly as much damage as he's lost. It's just not going to end up being worth it. I mean, getting the kill with Selim, yes, okay, getting another level would be fine, but, I don't know. Trying to kill that guy, Sorry for the discontinuity there. Pop-up just hit me from VirtualBox. Anyway, as I was saying, I think I would be ignoring this guy right now, pulling my troops back. This is a disaster, and Ymir's about to lose because of it. Another interesting point is that Imir keeps recruiting dwarvish fighters instead of archers. Now, elvish fighters instead of archers. Now, elvish fighters are solid units, and, I can see why you would recruit a bunch of them, but in this situation with a ton of dwarvish fighters and thieves and griffin riders coming at you, I think you want archers. Because they can do significant damage without retaliation, as opposed to doing minor damage without retaliation. But I think this is the death knell, pretty much. And we've got a Dwarvish Thunderer coming up. We've got units closing in, occupying recruitment territory. Imir only has 4 villages. And he has a bunch of units down here trying to fight their way through layer after layer of relatively simple but robust Dwarvish defense in an effort to counter-assassinate the enemy leader. But that's just not going to work. There's too many units in the way. Sergey has way more units to hide behind than Imir does, and Imir is now surrounded, out of recruitment, and out of time. So even his multiple elvish heroes are not going to be able to save him. He's trying his best, though. Oof. Big ol' hammer strike right there. That Elvish hero rolled exceptionally badly just there. Yeah, the Dwarvish RNG luck has definitely turned around. They are rolling hot. Yep, and there we go. Imir concedes defeat. His units down here were never going to be able to punch through the defenses. And up here, it was only a matter of time, and not very much time, before his remaining units were killed. So, in terms of stats, losses very even. That was a pretty bloody battle. Overall luck, the elves were slightly better in the luck department. They inflicted a little bit more damage, and they took approximately as much damage as expected, but slightly less. Like, there were a couple of missed hits that statistically should have been hit. But they, Imir definitely put up a good fight there. So let's hop on to the second game. So now we've got Imir as the Knolgans, and Sergey as the Undead. Interesting. Now, since the outlaw units are chaotic, the Knolgans normally want to try and fight at night. Against the Undead, they want to fight during the day. They want to use their Dwarven units heavily. Unfortunately, they don't have any units that are really good at killing ghosts, and they don't have any really, really good assassin-type units that can hunt down Dark Adepts, except for, they do have Ulfsirkers. Ulfsirkers, if they can get on a Dark Adept, will kill it, no questions asked. But getting on it can be hard with the limited mobility of Ulfsirkers. They can also use Griffin Riders for that same task. Sergey's random to the Deathblade for his leader, so he's got a pretty high damage but low HP level 2. I don't like Deathblades very much. I've always liked Revenants more. So, Heavy Outlaw and double Griffin Riders for the Undead. Down here we've got 2 Dark Adepts, 2 Skeletons, a Ghoul, and a Bat. Not a lot of scouting, a lot of firepower in that initial recruitment. And some melee poison as well. Ghouls are good for that. And he's recruiting a zombie. Turn 2. The dwarves have identified their foe. And let's actually switch to each team. And now the undead have identified it as well. So we've got a heavy push on the left side as we enter evening. Over here we don't have much, just a ghoul and a bat, which will probably still be enough to delay. And now we have the first ghost coming out. So the Knolgans are holding back. They don't want to go into a fight at nighttime against the undead. This ghoul is pushing pretty aggressively, though. So they might want to go in and take that out. The undead attack, however, has shifted to the center, and they are pushing the center really hard. It's second watch, so to be honest, I don't think they want to move forward for another turn. If they do, they're going to find themselves caught in this area come dawn. And Dwarvish fighters are pretty good at killing skeletons, since they have those hammers, which do impact damage. Skeletons, of course, are 20% vulnerable to impact, so the hammers do like 10 damage to them. We can actually check right here. Yep, 10 damage versus skeletons. At nighttime, a skeleton can just stand its ground and trade against Dwarvish fighters, but during the day, not so much. Probably if I was him, I'd put this guy right there, him right there, pull this guy over here, back to guard that village, send somebody else over that way. And then these units can kind of trickle down a little bit where they'll be close enough to threaten the Dark Adepts, but not close enough to be attacked. Looks like he's not trying to hold the hill line. Interesting. Okay, well, the undead aren't launching the attack, which is valid, seeing it as it is dawn. A lot of dancing around, a lot of shifting, a lot of jockeying for advantage going on right now. And we've got a mass recruit of footpads. Footpads don't do a ton of damage generally, but at nighttime they are a decent skeleton counter because both their melee and their ranged attacks are impact, and they're chaotic, so they get damage buffs at nighttime. Oof, yikes. Okay, that ghoul is sad, and not long for this world. But he has managed to poison somebody, and we've got a bunch of reinforcement units, including several zombies coming. So I'm not sure if these guys want to stay long enough to actually kill the ghoul. Yeah, they don't. They're running away. So net result of that, a little bit of experience on both sides. The undead are recruiting a lot of zombies. I think they're planning to use them as a meat shield when they push with the Dark Adepts soon. And the Knolgans are trying to line up in such a way that they can launch an attack, but what they need to worry about actually is this force pushing in as it comes on night. They've got a big open field line over on the left, almost nothing on the right. A decent little line in the center that could shift to cover the right. Which is what we're seeing. But the undead have a lot more units right now than the dwarves do. It's 20 to 15. So, pausing again real quickly. The undead outnumber the dwarves, and over on this side they've got their grand battery. They've got triple Dark Adepts. Standing on good terrain, ready to launch an attack. We don't have a single Ulfsirker from Imir yet. What we've got from Imir is a mix of dwarvish fighters, footpads, and 1 or 2 Griffin Riders. So, some mobility, a decent amount of HP with limited mobility, and then the footpads, which are good at harassing, and decent, as I said, against skeletons. You can see that their slings at nighttime against skeletons are like 7-2, which isn't terrible. It's still not a lot of damage, it's just a reasonable amount of damage. But they don't have anything that's a real tough counter to Dark Adepts. They don't have anything that's a real tough counter to Ghosts, although that's a perennial problem with Knolgans fighting against Ghosts. And they've only got 1 Poacher. Yeah, I think right now Sergey's army is just a lot better suited to doing what he wants to do. What I'm worried about is that over here, these units probably aren't strong enough to break through these 6. I mean, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 units, but half of them are zombies. Over here, however, these 3 Dark Adepts with 2 zombies, 2 skeletons, and a ghost, realistically, with 2 skeletons and a ghost as meat shields, might well be able to charge in and start dropping chill waves on people. Dwarvish fighters at nighttime take 11 damage still, so these 3 concentrating their firepower can probably pretty much, or if not entirely, kill a dwarvish fighter in 1 round and open up a hole that other units can get into. Plus, these guys in the water only have 30% defense, so the skeletons and the ghosts can also do a bunch of damage. We'll see what happens. A lot of maneuvering, and they're heading back. Nobody really wanting to play aggressively. Wesnoth does sometimes devolve into this kind of thing if everyone involved is just being real patient, but I don't know. Well, he tried. Bless his heart. That zombie's almost dead. Okay, so finally we have contact. At dawn, no less, but that, yikes. Yeah, that Griffin Rider got assassinated. So we have a lost Zamboni. But overall, so far the Knolgans have definitely been losing this engagement just because the Dark Adepts do so much damage. They must kill those Dark Adepts as quickly as possible. I'm trying, but... And they did leave a village uncovered against that zombie up in the corner. So the dwarves are advancing. They're definitely not going to be able to chop through all those meat shields in time, though. And Sergey is absolutely taking villages right now. Dark Adepts are falling back, though. They may be able to kill that one. And I absolutely would focus efforts on doing so. No, don't shoot the zombie. Well, okay. I mean, yeah, that works, I guess, but... Oh, no. The Dark Adept lived. Fuck. But this flank over here is a problem, because it's taking villages away. The Knolgans are down to 6 out of 16 villages. That's a very, very significant income disparity, and it's something that you must pay attention to in Wesnoth. I know I've said at times that small income disparities aren't something to be worried about as long as you're killing enemy units to make up for it, but if we look at stats, here's the situation. Losses are even. The Knolgans have actually lost slightly more than the undead have. Now, they've been underperforming their expected damage by quite a bit, which I know must be very, very frustrating to Imir right now. But the situation as it stands is, the Knolgans have lost as much as they've gained in the fighting so far. And on top of that, they've lost control of 3 villages. At least temporarily. So, 3 villages, each of which is making you 2 gold, and each of which is negating upkeep, is significant. That's a very significant difference. And it's something that can't be, if it goes on for more than like a turn or 2 turns, it starts to become relevant in terms of units. You can see here, the undead army has actually grown in size during the fighting. It's gotten up to 22 units now. And they're about to steal all of the Knolgans' villages. And they just made that griffin into a zombie, which is sort of hilarious. At least it's not fast. But as you can see here, the Knolgans' army has shrunk during the fighting. The undead army has grown. The Knolgans also have 31 gold in the bank, so they really, really need Rallic, this rogue here, to get back to the castle and recruit 2 more units. Okay, so they've got 1 Dark Adept. Trying to get another one. They killed a zombie, which is good, and they can reclaim that village. Recruiting this many footpads is, I would say, a mistake. Just because the footpads don't deal that much damage. Yes, you can have a lot of them. Yes, they're kind of tough to kill because they have high defenses. But they're just... They don't concentrate firepower very well. And concentration of firepower is super important. Especially when you're losing. Which is undeniably what's happening right now. Imir is just getting surrounded, worn down, and torn apart on all sides. And he's actually losing money now, since he only has 3 villages under his control. Oh. Alright. Yeah. This is one of the games where, so far, I would say luck has played a very significant role. I mean, he's down by over 100 expected damage. Over 100. He should have, if his luck was average, Imir should have killed like 3 more units by this time. But his troops just are not performing. I mean, he's managed to wipe out the attack now, but the timing could not have been worse. And as a result, or partially as a result at least, the undead army has built up to such a significant extent because it hasn't been being killed in fighting that Imir just does not have the numbers to deal with it. And of course, every time a zombie kills a unit, that unit becomes a zombie. Yikes. Yikes. And now in come the skeletons to lock off any chance of recruitment, and that is the game. Really, really is the game. Gotta love the blockish head on the dwarf zombie. Alas. Rip Imir. You tried your best. Just was not to be. Oh, well, he got a steel clad before he died. Steel clads are good units. But... oh, is the skeleton gonna get the kill? No. He's not dead yet. Oh, and he's leveled up to a soulless. That doesn't happen very often in multiplayer. Normally zombies die before they get close to leveling up. Because they have to score 2 kills to do it. Oh, nice! He got a 2nd level. See, this is the thing about this game. The interesting thing. This is one of the rare games that I would say has actually been decided, or at least significantly affected by just raw luck. I mean, the Knolgans have actually been playing pretty damn well. But at this point, they just can't win. Despite the fact that they've gotten a bunch of levels. Oh no, oh no, oh no. Excuse me. "22 turns. This is a long game. Long and hard-fought game. Barely managed to get it. They're making money finally, but partially it's because their army is so small now. But small but elite. I mean, if you look at the Knolgan army, they've got a trapper, 2 steelclads, and an outlaw. So 4 level 2 units. Plus a couple of level 1 footpads. It's impressive. to be totally honest. And they've whittled the undead army down by quite a bit, even against overwhelming recruitment. That's another level 2. Wow. And now they're fighting their way back into their own castle. But Imir just got tired of it. So if we look at stats... yeah. Imir dealt exactly 100 points less damage than he should have during that game. And like I said, 100 points less damage is, you know, straight up the deaths of, like, 3 units. So 100 points of damage is a big fucking deal. In terms of losses were incredibly lopsided. Imir lost 9 units. He killed 27 units, including 4 Dark Adepts, 3 Ghosts, and 3 Ghouls, and then a ton of Walking Corpses. But honestly, Sergey played... So, Imir played a very good tactical game. Imir won engagements. Imir went into fights and won those fights, killed many enemy units. He got a bunch of level ups. The undead got 2 level ups, but Imir got, I think, 5, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 5 level ups over the course of that game. And just a ton of kills. But Sergey played a much... Sergey, A, got lucky, and B, played a strong strategic game. Sergey took Imir's money away. And by taking Imir's money away while he was mucked up in this ugly fight down here, by taking away all his villages except for a couple, he made it impossible for Imir to recruit more units, while he made it more possible for him to recruit more units. And then he just overwhelmed him with numbers. Imir was winning in tactical fights all the time, but Sergey always had more units, and Sergey always had more income, and Imir couldn't recruit more units, and so he got into this corner position where victory was, if not absolutely impossible, at least horribly unlikely. Like, if you look at what's going to happen here, this little pocket of level 2 units can probably live for a little while longer. Well, except that they're about to send, you know, these 2 ghosts up to assassinate the leader. But let's say somehow Rallic the Rogue here survives. He's not going to. Never mind, because these shots kill him in 1 hit. So he's not going to survive. He's going to die. He's going to die of Ghost Syndrome. But like, these units, if these units could stand around and fight, they might be able to cleave their way through the entirety of this undead force. It's unlikely, but possible. But even if they did, Sergey is making 26 gold per turn, and Imir is making like 5, if that. Not even, because I think he only has 3... Is there a 4th village that he controls? 1, 2... Oh yeah, there it is. 3. He has 4 villages. So he's making like... What? Yeah, something like 5 gold per turn. It's just not going to work out in the long run. But in any case, excellent play to both players. Sergey wins 2-0 and will be advancing into the semi-finals. So we are getting close to the end of this thing. So in any case, thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.